United Nations General Assembly will be in session soon. September 23rd to 27th will be a so-called high-level week. Leaders from all over the world will be flying to New York. They will be gathering for a week of intense tongue-wagging, with little to show afterwards. That's probably what is going to happen anyway. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi will be heading to the US as well, but he has decided to skip the main UNGA hoopla. He has other matters to attend to. Modi will attend a session of the Quad. That's a grouping of India, Japan, Australia and the US. It tackles security in the Indo-Pacific. The Indian Prime Minister will attend a Quad summit in Delaware on the 21st of September before he heads to New York, where he will pay a courtesy call to the United Nations to attend a special session before the main UNGA. It's called the Summit of the Future. Prime Minister Modi is expected to speak at the summit on Monday before heading back to India the following day. The United Nations is increasingly becoming obsolete because it refuses to reform and embrace modern realities. Let me give you one of the latest examples. The US recently said it wants to reform the UN Security Council. It wants to bring in new permanent members, and this should be a big deal. For those of you who don't know, the Security Council is the United Nations' top security body. The UNSC decides on peacekeeping operations, on sanctions. It can authorize military action in any country. The council is made up of 15 members. 5 of them are permanent members: the US, the UK, France, Russia and China. These 5 are permanent. The other 10 members are temporary. They're chosen from the rest of the world and serve 2-year terms. That is the current composition of the UN Security Council, and there's a stark disparity here. The permanent members all have a veto. They can shut down any decision they do not like. They can stop any resolution for passing, even if the 14 other members all agree. One permanent member can stop it. The permanent members can always get their way. Now, with this in mind, look at the reform proposed by the United States.
In addition to non-permanent memberships for African countries, the United States supports creating 2 permanent seats for Africa on the Council. It's what our African partners seek, and we believe this is what is just. I'm also proud to announce that the United States supports creating a new elected seat on the Security Council for small island developing states. That in addition to the countries we long supported for permanent seats, India, Japan, and Germany.
On the surface, that sounds great. The Security Council is dominated by the winners of the Second World War. It happened in 1945. The world today is a very different place, so the Security Council should reflect this new world. It should reflect our current realities. But before you congratulate the United States on doing the right thing, take a look at this.
We've been very, very clear that we do not support expansion of the veto. We don't want to give up our veto power. And we do think if we expand that veto power across the board, it will make the council more dysfunctional.
And we are back to square one. You know those companies that make up new random job titles to give employees the feeling that they're moving up the ladder? Executive this, associate that, deputy to the vice overlord of purchasing. The new Security Council seats sound like that. The UN version of those bogus titles. America says it supports permanent seats for Africa, India and the others, but in reality, they aren't willing to share any real power. South Africa's President Cyril Ramaphosa summed it up well.
We would argue that we too, those who are added, must also enjoy the same right that the 5 permanent security members have. We cannot have second-class participation as Africa on the UN Security Council.
India shouldn't have second-class participation either, nor should any other new permanent member. But the present Security Council probably won't listen. They'll do everything they can to cling on to power. It's their exclusive club, and they don't want anyone else to enter. India's External Affairs Minister, Dr. S. Jaishankar, spoke about this recently, about the West's habit of making exclusive clubs and their distrust of other associations, like the BRICS grouping, which has been garnering a lot of interest.
Why this club, and do you consider that the BRICS will expand?
Well, to be honest, why the club? Because there was another club. It was called the G7, and you wouldn't let anybody else into that club. So we said we go and form our own club.
That addresses the root of the problem. With every Western-led institution, the rest of the world feels excluded and compelled to look elsewhere to get anything meaningful done. America's latest UNSC stunt reinforces this belief, and the rest of the world is tired of it.